It's time to talk about Star Wars Jedi 3 out of nowhere. And I literally mean nowhere. There is a ton of news and buzz about the next chapter in Cal Kestis' saga. And it might actually be arriving a lot sooner than we've talked about in the past. So if you love Jedi Fallen Order, if you love Jedi Survivor, this matters right now because the third game could potentially launch in the same year as it's revealed. That's almost unheard of these days. And I know we need to take it all with a grain of salt, slow down, not get too excited, but I am excited, but I'm also a little skeptical. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Today, we're going to break down what's going on, what's confirmed, what's rumor, and what it all actually means. And we just got a huge leak that is probably going to make all of you happy if it ends up being true. Drop a like, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you for 21,000 subscribers. And yes, I read every single comment on every single video. That is true. Now, the context. Why is this happening? Well, Cal Kestis and his droid BD-1, the protagonist of the Star Wars Jedi game, are, well, they're heading for one more adventure. We know that. And to understand why we may actually be getting this sooner than everybody thought, we need to remember how we got here. The first game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, 2019, crazy to think it was 7 years ago, was a massive success. Over 20 million players experienced Cal's journey with him. EA, they hit gold with a single-player Star Wars title, finally. And then the sequel, Jedi Survivor 2023, it was a no-brainer. Survivor pushed the story and the scope even further, and while it sold very well, it also launched with some notorious technical issues that needed patching. But the series clearly became one of EA's biggest recent hits, and it revitalized their Star Wars lineup. So from early on, the developers envisioned the series as a trilogy. It makes sense, right? Stig himself, who directed Fallen Order and Survivor, openly said, "I always wanted to see this as a trilogy." In fact, even before Survivor released, Respawn and EA confirmed that a new Jedi game, Jedi 3 is what we're calling it, was already in the works. And just after Survivor came out, Cameron Monaghan himself, the actor who plays Cal, who we need in live action, please, let it slip at a convention that we're working on the third game. He said, "We're in the process of doing it right now." So yes, a third game has been in development, at least in some form, since I would guess 2022. But if that's the case, we haven't seen anything, not a peep. I mean, there's been turbulence behind the scenes, we know that. Not long after Survivor launch, Stig left Respawn in late 2023, even though he kicked off plans for the trilogy. EA confirmed his departure and said veteran Respawn leaders would take over on the Jedi team, but they haven't publicly named a new game director. On top of that, Respawn underwent layoffs in 2024 and 2025, which hit the Jedi development team and reportedly hurt morale. So I think it's safe to say the studio had to regroup and readjust. And that led all of us to assuming that Jedi 3 might actually be a long way out, maybe 2027, maybe even later. I mean, that's the usual pace of AAA games, and when you have staffing shakeups, it's never good. But I have good news for you guys. Here's the curveball. You ready? A new report suggests Jedi 3 will be revealed and released in the same year. This came from Tim Geddes of Kinda Funny. Now, Geddes isn't a regular leaker. He's more of a games media personality. But he's well connected in the industry. It also got reported or corroborated on by Shinobi, who's a really good industry insider. But on a recent podcast, he shared something with Star Wars fans. He said he heard not only is Star Wars Jedi 3 going to be unveiled this year, 2026, but it's actually supposed to launch this year too. In other words, the plan, if his info is accurate, is a 2026 reveal and a 2026 release date for the third game. I want you to let that sink in for a second, guys, okay? This is where the comments probably get popping. It is not common these days for big games to be announced and then come out within the same calendar year. Usually, we hear about games years in advance, though. And interestingly, the Star Wars Jedi series has done this before. Fallen Order, officially revealed in spring of 2019 and launched in November of 2019, which was a 6-month gap, which is half the time of the usual marketing budget when you reveal a game and then you have 12 to 18 months before you get it out. They didn't do that. Jedi Survivor had its first teaser in May of 2022. It arrived in April of 2023. So Respawn has a track record here of really tight marketing cycles for this series. And Geddes' claim basically says they're sticking to that formula for the third time, which if true, and I believe it, means we might see an announcement really soon. Possibly, I would say around April or May, which that's when Star Wars Celebration or May the 4th be with you events drop all their news. And then we get the game this fall. Imagine if all games were that way. If the studios had plenty of time to make these games and they all came out great, and we were all happy, and they revealed it, and then we got it less than 6 months later. I mean, what a time to be a gamer, right? I mean, I go back and think of Elder Scrolls 6. When did that teaser come out? 2018, and we're now in 2026. Anyway, now to be clear, Nothing has been confirmed by EA or Respawn yet. This information from Kestis is unofficial. It's a rumor, albeit from a reputable media figure. Even Kestis himself isn't billing it as a huge leak, just something he's heard that he finds credible. The report has already blown up enough that everybody's debating. I mean, if EA and Respawn have no comment, as you'd expect, right? Is it true? Officially, the company has said zero about release timing, story, platforms, any of this. They haven't even formally announced the game yet. I mean, we just know it's being worked on because of what we talked about earlier. So while this same year reveal and release idea is very exciting, I have to give you the grain of salt, right? Plans change, things happen, or they do, but I mean, the rumor aligns with how the first two games came out. It gives this leak weight. If Respawn has indeed been quietly working on Jedi 3 since 2022, a late 2026 launch would mean roughly a 3-year dev cycle, which is similar to Survivor's timeline. I'm going to call it feasible. That's what I'm going to do. So even if Jedi 3 is coming this year, there's a lot we don't know. For starters, the game hasn't been officially revealed. No trailer, no title, nothing. We don't even know what it's being called. Obviously, it won't be literally called Jedi 3 in the box, right? Following the naming pattern, it will be Star Wars Jedi. You guys fill in the blank. Some subtitle that fits the story. And your guess right now is as good as mine. Now, crucially, we have no story details. How's the game going to pick up after the events of Jedi Survivor? I mean, spoiler alert, 1, 2, 3. Survivor left Cal Kestis in a pretty interesting place. I'm not going to spoil too much, but he suffered some losses and he gained a new purpose. He's now the guardian to a young child and has a secret base of sorts as his refuge. We don't know if the third game is going to start right after that or if we're going to have a time jump forward again. Fallen Order to Survivor jump 5 years. So will Cal be even older in Jedi 3 or are we going to continue immediately where we left off? We don't know. We also don't know what characters are going to be there. Cal is, of course, going to be there. I mean, Cameron's there, right? If he's not there, we have a problem. It's probably safe to say we'll see Merrin, we'll see Grease, other surviving allies from the first two games, but there's nothing confirmed about the cast, old or new. Will any big Star Wars legacy characters appear? They usually do. I mean, Fallen Order gave us Darth Vader in a cameo. Survivor name dropped some familiar, let's just call them elements. So there's always room for surprises, and they usually happen. Now, on the development side, it's all under wraps. We don't know who's leading the project now. The original director's gone. Respawn hasn't announced the new creative director or project lead. We also don't know the state of the game. We don't know the game's engine or technology. Survivor ran on the Unreal Engine 4 and only on current gen consoles and PC at launch. So given that, I would say it's likely Jedi 3 is going to target PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC only. No older consoles. But that's an assumption. I mean, until they tell us, we don't know if they might upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 for even better visuals, which could complicate development or improve it. And of course, no release date. No window confirmed. The rumor points to late 2026. But for all we know, that could slip until there's an official release date, and even then, delays happen. Trust me, we're not sure. EA hasn't put Jedi 3 on any public roadmap. So there's so many unanswered questions. When exactly will we see it for the first time? I mean, what trailer are we going to get? There's a lot that we're waiting on. But the fun part is the speculation. That's where we get to kind of stretch our legs. I want to stress, this part is just me thinking out loud about possibilities. No confirmed info, so remember that. First off, story-wise, I suspect this will be the conclusion of Cal Kestis' story. I do. I don't think he's going to go over to live action. I think he should, but I don't think they're going to take advantage of the huge cash cow in front of him. But whatever, okay? All signs point to this being the trilogy. The developers planned it that way. The marketing is even calling it the final chapter of Cal's saga. So I'm expecting an emotional, high-stakes narrative that wraps up the character arcs that we've been following since Fallen Order. Cal, he's been through a lot. I mean, from a Padawan hiding from the Empire to a Jedi Knight facing Darth Vader to a mentor-protector figure by the end of Survivor. So in his third game, we might actually see Cal coming into his own as a Jedi Master figure, or possibly struggling with darker impulses. He had a few moments in Survivor hitting at the toll of constant fighting, right? So we could see him go down the dark side. It wouldn't be at the end, but it could be in the middle or the beginning. Wouldn't shock me at all if the story forces Cal to confront whether he can protect those he loves while staying true to the Jedi path. Sounds familiar, right? Given this era and where it takes place, I mean, it's firmly between episode 3 and 4, under the Empire's shadow. There's a looming sense that things could end tragically or with Cal going into hiding. So I want him to get a hopeful ending, but with the Empire era stories, you really never know. They might choose a bittersweet route where Cal ensures the safety of his found family, like Merrin and the kid, but at the cost of himself. I mean, that's all purely speculation, but it does fit the Star Wars pattern of heavy sacrifices by the time we get to A New Hope. Now, in terms of characters, I'd put my money on Merrin having a major role again. She's effectively Cal's partner now. Grease, our four-arm pilot, well, likely going to be back, try to lighten the mood a little bit, provide the Stinger Mantis as our trusty ship, right? And one thing I'm wondering, will any characters from the wider Star Wars universe make an appearance? We're getting closer, inching closer to New Hope. The time frame could overlap with things like the early Rebel Alliance formation. I mean, Saw Gerrera popped up in Fallen Order, for example. Maybe Cal could cross paths with other surviving Jedi or Rebels. There's nothing concrete on it, but I mean, for speculation's sake, perhaps someone like Ahsoka Tano or even young Jaris from Star Wars Rebels could cameo. There's cameo territory there, right? I guess if Lucasfilm would allow it. Again, it's not based on evidence, just the kind of connections Lucasfilms likes to do. I mean, at the very least, I think some familiar faces from the first two games will return. Maybe we haven't seen the last of certain antagonists or side characters if they survived. I mean, one open thread is that planet. What was it called? Tanalorr? Introducing Survivor as a hidden safe haven? So I suspect Tanalorr will be key in the third game's plot. Maybe he's a base of operations or a place Cal tries to build something, a refugee for Force sensitives. Who knows? I mean, inevitably, the Empire is going to threaten it. We know that. Now, let's talk about the gameplay and the design real quick. What will change? What do you want improved? Given the success of the formula so far, I think Respawn probably won't reinvent the wheel here. Expect that satisfying lightsaber combat, that Metroidvania-style exploration. It's all going to come back, with Cal likely retaining his abilities from the last two games. Narratively speaking, it wouldn't make sense for him to lose all his powers. We'll probably get new combat stances, new force powers to keep things fresh. Survivor added dual wield with a cross guard. I mean, Kylo Ren style stance, right? Maybe the next game gives us something like maybe wild, like a double-bladed lightsaber throw, or even a way to command companion characters, or we could get a lightsaber whip. Who remembers that? Yeah, anyway. Okay, we'll see. I think it's going to probably stay with the same premise and just add a few fresh things. Now, the world design. Survivor introduced a more open hub world, right? Large area, side quests, freedom to roam. I think people responded well to it. I suspect the next game is going to expand the open world elements a bit more, maybe giving us multiple big hub planets to explore between the story missions. I think they'll likely keep the balance between linear cinematic moments and open exploration. We don't need a full-on open world, we don't. But the hardware, I mean, it can handle bigger environments, so why not? Hopefully they optimize it. And finally, let's speculate about this release timing, okay? If they truly plan to reveal in 2026 and release the same year, when would it happen? Here's my bet. I say they're going to reveal it around May. That's Star Wars Day, right? May the 4th. Often times, that's when they drop their big news. Perhaps a teaser at the Star Wars Celebration event, or even during E3 Summer Game Fest time in June. I know E3 is not a thing anymore, but you guys know what I mean. Then, a release potentially in the fall, maybe September, October 26, which would line up with the rumor and give them about 4 to 5 months after reveal for marketing. Now, they would have to market hard. But I do think this is possible that you will have Jedi 3 in your hands this year. So the takeaway for me, be excited, but be patient, be realistic. The fact that multiple sources from lead actor to industry insiders are saying, yep, it's in development, and you could see it this year is an amazing thing. But also understand, things can change on a dime when it comes to game development. So we'll have to wait and see. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.